Hello and welcome to Lobby Talks. My name's James Lemon, the founder of Otolo, and Lobby Talks is a short, sharp chat with a leader from around the industry designed to inspire and develop people in their hospitality careers. It's all part of Otolo's mission to help everyone unlock their potential in hospitality. So head at any point to myotolo.com now or later, where you can meet people for mentorship, connection, and support. It's a challenging time for hospitality, and I think there's a lot of leaders out there who want to help the industry collaborate better, stick together, and build a really strong and sustainable recovery. So we're really excited to play a part. The way the show works is I meet a leader somewhere in a fictional lobby, and we talk about the highs and lows of their careers and hopefully have a few laughs along the way, and hopefully share a little bit of wisdom that can help others. So I'm really delighted to chat to our guest today. He's been a mentor with Otolo for some time and was actually offered me a lot of guidance when we started the platform and started giving back some time ago. An incredibly experienced hotelier. We'd love to welcome to the stage Rocco Bova. Rocco, great to see you. How are you?
Good morning, everyone, and afternoon for you, I guess. Excellent, and greetings from Mexico.
Yeah, lovely to have you here. We'll get into the lobby in a minute, but you've been very busy since we last spoke. I'd love to hear a little bit about Humble House. What's that all about? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, a lot of people is asking me, and in reality, this is a new business model for hospitality. I think that hospitality has been managed and run for the past 100+ years in the same way, where there is an investor, you have employees, and then you have guests. But generally, all the earnings and benefits generally go to one person only. The other two they need to spend, which are the guest, and the staff is the one that earns a little bit less. So my idea and the business model of my humble house is basically a more equitable business model where everyone wins and everyone earns, including the guest, the staff, and the owners. So I'm working on the final business plan, and in the next couple of months, I should be able to share it, including with you and with the Otolo audience.
Fantastic. Well, I love that teaser. Thanks so much. So look, let's get into it. You've taken us to this lobby. Whereabouts in the world are we?
Well, this is about 10 years ago when I was in Mauritius. I used to work at the Lux Le Morne, which was not like this actually when I was working there. The color scheme was a lot darker, but during the renovation, basically they started to make it lighter and brighter. So this is in Mauritius, in the southern part of Mauritius. There is a peninsula called Le Morne, and in my opinion, is the best beach in the world. Yeah. Full stop. So fantastic. I've been there for 5 years. Actually, I spent 5 years of my life in Mauritius. Very beautiful.
Perfect. And I feel like we should be grabbing a drink. What's the national drink of Mauritius? What do you recommend?
Rum, of course. Sugarcane rum. This is the coffee lounge, by the way. But obviously, the national drink is rum.
Perfect. I'm sure they can do me a rum and coffee. So I'm sure, I think that's an Irish coffee, but we'll when we make it a Mauritian coffee. No, it sounds good. I was joking with you off stage. You've taken us to this fictional lobby in the Maldives, but actually you're in the most amazing kind of background right now, live in Mexico. I guess it brings us to our next section really nicely. I'd love to hear what's brought you to Mexico. So our first section is called Your Career in 60 Seconds. Are you up for the challenge, Rocco? Do you think you can share your history in hospitality in a minute?
I am ready for it. So, I was born in Italy about 50 years ago. I turned 51 in December, and I left my hometown in Italy at the age of 18. Then at the age of 24, I went to London, where I studied hospitality and completely fell in love with the industry. And from London, this platform brought me everywhere in many countries. I started in Dubai, then in Singapore with Four Seasons, then in India with Amman Resort, and I went to Intercontinental in Muscat, Oman. Then I went to Lux Le Morne and St. Regis in Mauritius, to then move to the Caribbean with Amman Resort once again. And finally, since the past 5 years, I've been in Mexico. First 4 years, I was working for Chablé in Yucatan. and now I'm working Coahuila and Cuatro Ciénegas for Grupo Hotelero 1800, which is having a very amazing and ambitious master plan for this small little town.
Fantastic.
Did I make
Fantastic.
it?
Well, yeah, I think so. Just about. I mean, to be honest, I'm not doing a very good job of keeping time, but I think you did better than me. Fantastic. Well, look, I want to hear all about. I know a lot of people are really passionate about luxury and resorts. So later on, we'll definitely be getting your top tips on a luxury career. But for now, I want to revisit a couple of your highs and lows with a section we call Good Day and Bad Day. So I don't mind where you start, but take us through a day in your life, the high or the low.
Well, let me start with a good day first. I think that the good day, the best day of my life was when I discovered that I truly fell in love with the industry. And the day I truly fell in love with the industry and I began to understand that this was going to be my passion and my future and my career was when I was in Egypt. I was working there for a short period of time, but then I discovered that 1 meter after the next meter after the next meter, there were hundreds of resorts under construction, literally hundreds. From Sharm el-Sheikh to Taba, there were probably 500 hotels under construction. So I said to myself, well, if this is what you get in just one place, imagine how many more hotels you have around the world and how many more opportunities you have around the world. At the time, I was just a young waiter, and I became so much involved with the industry that I started to study. I went to hotel school, and eventually I became who I am today.
Fantastic.
Let's go maybe to the less interesting part, or maybe the more learning part, let's say. So a bad day, a bad day, it's all about how you're gonna take it, because it's all about that. At the end of the day, you have to take any lesson as a learning lesson, as a learning curve. Bad experience, actually, they make you stronger. In fact, some of my, call it the worst experience or toughest experience, both with customers, with staff, and even with boss, with my superiors, actually have taught me how to become stronger, more resilient, and also to understand more about me. Once you self-analyze yourself, your behavior, you actually understand better. So let me tell you one story, for example, of a day that I actually challenged my general manager. And it was a difference of opinion. During a conference, he mentioned that he wanted to create the best hotel in the world. And for him to create the best hotel in the world was to mechanically follow all our standards. And I immediately raised my hand and I said, I don't agree. And I said, in order to be the best hotel in the world, I think you need to follow your heart. I think you need to serve from the heart. Your service must be genuine so that people will feel the genuinity and you truly want to serve them, and rather than following an SOP. It was just a difference of opinion, or maybe it was a misinterpretation from my side. So anyway, that was a so-called bad experience. I felt that I was not belonging any longer to the team, and I decided to leave this company. But immediately after that, I got a better job and I learned new things. And every time I go back to the story, I always think about, what did I learn from that? Okay, first I learned obviously that maybe I should listen, analyze better. But at the end of the day, I still believe today that I need to follow my heart and I need to serve from the heart. This hasn't changed in 30 years.
Yeah. Well, I think fantastic for you kind of standing up for yourself. I think it's been quite a traditional industry in a lot of places for a lot of people, right? So if you feel like things can be done differently, then I think you do have to find your voice. You do have to find a way to speak up. I suppose for people in that position now, what would be your advice? What was it inside you that made you realize, enough is enough. It's time to speak up. There must be a better way. I'd love to kind of get a sense of and package that up.
I'm a very strange Generation X. Although I'm a little bit older than most, I'm actually more towards the millennial than I am a Generation X. So I think more spontaneous. I am more outspoken than my generation. Typical Generation X, they will probably do the job and stay silent and move on. I'm not very political when it comes to make decisions. Sometimes I make decisions that they're really tough, and they have a consequences. But in all, I can say that when I made a decision, it brought me to a better place. And so far, so good. I can only say that, touch wood. I had obviously tough experiences, and I obviously had to deal with tough managers in my career. But this didn't make me weaker, or that didn't make me uh, go below my values. At the end of the day, I need to live my values, and I need to work with companies that they live my own values, or at least they are aligned with mine. And I recommend that to everybody, because if you don't feel aligned, you don't deliver anyway. You will always deliver much less than the 100% that you should.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I suppose if you're sitting there as a manager or a leader right now, thinking or worrying, perhaps you might be generating a culture where you've done things the same way and you don't create space for people to pick up. What's your recommendation? How do you make room for people to speak up if that's what you need out of your team?
Listen, I feel I am a type of leader that always leave an open door. Um, Definitely, I also have the reputation. Let's call it a reputation to be also a tough leader as well, because in some occasion you have to make tough decisions, and you have to really go through a certain path, or through a direction that is set by the owners. In my case, for example, the owners employ me to transform this company. And sometimes you cannot really get too many people on the way, because if everybody gets an opinion, then you will never get into a transformation. Now, what it is important is that you identify the right people to stay on board and to continue with the transformation, those that they really want to go with the transformation, and understand that those people, and help them, those people that maybe they cannot or they don't want. That's the way I manage basically the communication with my team. Now, lucky enough, I actually had a team that is who he was on board from day one. Actually, I made in less than 6 months. I made huge changes that were unthinkable in this part of Mexico, because this part of Mexico is not typically touristic. So the local people, the staff, they didn't know many things. So any new introduction, any new implementation was, what is this? And I was going to work. And I told them, just give me time, trust me, and let's do it. And let me show you how it's going to work. So I gained trust very quickly, and I was able to implement so many changes in such a short period of time. Even I am surprised myself. In other country, it took me years to implement what I did here in 6 months.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, look, I mean, it is a people business at heart. And I think having that leadership mindset is the only way. But sometimes when you're flat out, when your hotels are full of guests and full of problems, it's really tough to remember to really nurture the team. But it sounds like you put that front and center, which is great. So our next section is called Last Stay on Earth. And I don't want to bring the mood down, but it's all about, look, if you just had one more experience you could have, which hotel would you stay in? Where would you eat? And what event would you go to? The kind of three pillars, if you like, of hospitality. So talk us through, how would you spend your last day on Earth? Maybe we start with the hotel.
Well, there is one hotel in particular. It's called the Brando. It's in French Polynesia. I've never been there. I always dreamed to be there, to go there. Maybe one day I'll go and work there. Who knows? Is a private island. Literally, it's a private island that has a reef all around it, so it's well protected as well, and it's obviously very secluded, but it's also in a place that I really want to visit one day. The Polynesia is the part of the world, or the Pacific area is the part of the world that still is missed in my mosaic of travel. That's the only little square that is missing. So I've been from Mexico up to Japan, but from the other side. So anything between Mexico and Japan on the Pacific side is completely unknown. So this is an area that I look forward to go and visit and stay one day. What would I eat? I would actually eat a nice bowl of pasta made by my mom. There's nothing better than that. I would fly her in. She's 86 and a half now. She's a little bit old, but I would love her to come and cook for me my last meal if I can make that choice.
It sounds amazing.
And
amazing. So carry on. I was thinking about homemade pasta. The last one is event. So what would be the last event that you attend on Earth?
The last event. Actually, the last event will be to review again my wedding day with my wife. It was the most amazing day, and unfortunately, we didn't really have cameras to film it. Those days, we're talking about 25 years ago. We had pictures, of course. We have some beautiful pictures as a memory, but I don't have a video. It was an amazing day. Actually, I got married in London, and we were to go to the Crown Plaza in Mayfair, which is across the street from the Ritz in London. And guess what? On the 3rd of July, 1999, when I got married, was also the gay parade in London. So we couldn't cross Piccadilly at all. And there was this masses and masses of people on the street. And my mom was sitting next to me. and she was obviously quite amazed. She'd never been to such a situation. And so was I, obviously, because of my wedding day. It was amazing to have this parade just for me. Anyway,
the streets full of people and all these vibrant colors. And exactly. Everyone wants a parade on their wedding day.
It took us about an hour and a half to cross this street, by the way, but we eventually made it. It was great.
Fantastic. I know the hotel you mean really well. How amazing! You've traveled to all these amazing luxury resorts and places, and you got married in London in a kind of big corporate hotel. That's hilarious. So look, French Polynesia is, I think, on a lot of people's wish list. Obviously, absolute, long journey to get there, but just so picturesque. What is it about Brando that you love the sound of? I don't know the property at all. Maybe you could shed some light.
Brando is a villa-only resort. They have a handful of villas. I think it's 25, 30 villas only. They're in the middle of nowhere, and everything is made on the island. They provided a kind of an all-exclusive package, so you can splurge on anything that is available on the island without paying a single penny extra. So whatever you pay, it's all included: spa, wine, cocktails, food, beverage, activities, whatever you want. That's a concept I love, because the moment you go and travel that far, the last thing you want to think about is, oh my God, what is my bill going to look like? Let's just pay once and forget about everything else. So you don't have to do any check-in. You don't have to do any check-out, no procedures, zero worries, when you stay at a place like that. There you go. That's the Brando. I don't know who found it, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So imagine being there for just a second.
we can work all kinds of magic here in the team. No, brilliant, lovely. Well, it sounds amazing. And next time we do this, we'll have to meet there perhaps. So look, the next section of our chat together is called the guest book. Obviously, you never leave a hotel without leaving a few comments. So to round off our event, we love our guests to share a few words of wisdom. So what would you pass on to people passionate about their hospitality careers today?
Definitely. I mean, I would go back all over again, and do everything that I did in my life without skipping a single step. And I'm not saying because it was easy. It wasn't easy, but it was fun. A lot of fun. The roller coaster is what, the adrenaline. I met some amazing people, during my career, and I keep meeting amazing people just like yourself, like the people at Otolo. And then through Otolo, you meet more amazing people like students or young hotelier or aspiring hotelier that they want to join our amazing industry. So yeah, just get your feet into it. And once you get in and you love it, you cannot get out. It's as simple as that. It's just it just gets into your blood.
Yeah, and I think it sounds like you found that you spotted the opportunity nice and early, right? I'm picturing you as a young waiter just watching these resorts exploding, and you had this small view of what was happening all over the world, and hopefully people are feeling like that now, right? Travel will clearly come back. People are desperate for experiences again, and as an industry, of course, we're crying out for people who want to help deliver these experiences, for whom service is something they can take pride in, and for creating amazing experiences for people, whether luxury or at any price point, is something that I think is something you can really be passionate about for a job. And there's so many jobs out there which don't come with passion, right? But we actually have a huge opportunity now to
James, sometimes I think, sometimes actually I often think that I wish I had a mentor like me in my life. Somebody who can tell me what to do, even though it's never correct what you listen, but at least somebody who can guide you and can give you options, can give you choices.
Yeah.
For example, now I'm lucky enough to have my son, and he has as his mentor. I'm super lucky to have my son as his mentor, and I hope he will enjoy my mentorship because by the things that I did, good and bad, he can learn from it and do it even better and faster.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think so many people, obviously, I talk about mentorship every day, but so many people mention their parents as their first mentor. And there's so much you can take from that, right? Someone who is able to be a sounding board, someone who's looking out for your best interests. But actually, it's really lovely once in a while to have a mentor who might be someone like you, the other side of the world, who's less involved, right? And actually able to really be objective and say, look, I don't mind which of these options you take, but here's how I see your options, and here's how I see your choices right now. But yeah, I'm sure many people would love to have a great mentor like you, which is fab. We're so lucky to have you at Otolo. But obviously, you're not done yet. It feels like you've got this brand new project on the horizon. Tell us what inspired Humble House. What's the DNA of the new project that you're kicking off?
So let me try to do this in a minute or two. So this was about 15 years ago. I was in Singapore, and I was invited to the grand opening of a restaurant called My Humble House. And I was invited. I went there, and actually it was a very beautiful restaurant, just another nice posh restaurant in Singapore. But the name stuck to my mind, and I said, this name sounds so nice. I've got to do something with it. I keep a digital diary, a little Word document where I write down everything that I come across, everything that could be interesting for me and maybe for the future. So I put it there. I said, maybe one day I'm going to do something. So when I reached the age of 45, I then decided to do something for when I turned 50. So I said, okay, between now and 50, I have 5 years to think about something that I can do for myself, for the industry, for the passion that I have. And I said, maybe I should use this name. Maybe I should do something with this name. Maybe hotel concept, because obviously that's my specialty, my passion. So I started to think and think and think. And then at the age of 49, the pandemic struck. And I suddenly became time free or with a huge bank account in time. And I said, okay, then it's time for me to really start to work on that. So I started to collect all the ideas, everything that I learned over the past 30 years. And when I spoke to somebody, they told me this is a brain dump, literally. So I prepared a document of about 150 plus pages, which is basically everything I had in my head, and dump it in this document. And that was the first point one of my version one of My Humble House. And then over the course of the past 10 months, I've been talking to so many people, including you, and I've been seeking consultancy from friends, colleagues, and I even shared my document with more than 100 people around the world, all C-level executive, to to try to learn something from them, to give me feedback. And the feedback that I got, it was amazing. So everybody loved this idea. They said, Rocco, nobody's doing that. So in a nutshell, what it is, my humble house is a hotel concept, yes, a traditional hotel concept with a check-in, a stay, a check-out experience, and everything in between. So wellness, sustainability, farm to table. I mean, nothing new really, because although everybody's saying, there's a new concept, there's truly no new concept. It's all copy, paste, adapt, and copy, paste, adapt again. But what I decided to do is to change the business model. So the business model I'm trying to do with my humble house is completely different. So you have an investor, and then you have a management company, which is my humble house. The investor will invest in my humble house. And generally, the investor will say, okay, when are you going to give me my money back, plus? And my answer will be, well, you will become an employee. I'm going to pay you every month your return on the investment. And plus, whatever you have invested, I will make sure with my humble house concept and management and knowledge and efficiency, I will make sure that within 2 years, you will become positive. You'll become already GOP positive, which means that you already be able to make some profit. And then the third earning that the investor is going to have is obviously on the appreciation of the construction or the building or the land. So the investor will earn 3 times. Will earn already as a non-executive director, so will become part of the team, but will not be an executive and will not be involved in the operation as it is in most companies where you have the owners always interfering. You will need to give that trust to the operator. And then you will earn the second time with profit, which will be made within the 2 years of operation. And then third, we'll earn obviously with the appreciation of the property. So that's in a nutshell my humble house.
Really interesting. And I guess you teased us at the start with a slightly different approach for employees as well. Obviously, staff retention, attracting people to the industry, making sure we're unlocking people's passion. Tell me about how you're approaching kind of bringing on great people.
I actually missed the most important part of my humble house. Part of the profit will be shared back to the employees. Now, the investor will say, why should I share my profit with the employees? Well, because if you enter into this efficient mode of working, employees knows they're going to earn profit. Employee will work more efficiently, will stay longer with the company, will be less cost involved for the HR team to find people. And one of the most important part is to try to automate areas of the business which are not guest faced, or even if they are guest faced, they are not as important as the actual experience while you are at the resort. So for example, the check-in and check-out, in most hotels you can do it through your phone, and the millennials and future generation, they don't want to go through a check-in process. They can do this before, while they're on the plane, they can do the check-in process. Or while they're in the transportation to go to the resort, they can check in. Why do I need to have a person to check me in? I need to have a person to explain me what I can do at the resort or outside of the resort. But a lot of things can be definitely automated. And I think this is where we will become so efficient that you can concentrate 100% on the guest experience and not just on minor things.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think, look, you've got to promise to come back and share more with us as these plans start to become real and you get your first ones open, Rocco, because I think you've got some really fabulous ideas. And I know a lot of leaders right now are looking at the staffing challenges and thinking, how do we get people excited about hospitality, not as a part-time job, but as a career, somewhere you can really build your skills. And you've shown it yourself throughout having your career from waiter to now kind of business owner. But I think it's also really important we make sure that it's a really sustainable place to work. So I think ideas like profit sharing, I think ideas like automation to allow the job to get a bit more interesting and focus on the good stuff, I think is the way to go. So unfortunately, we've reached the checkout. We've reached the end of our time together. But I wanted to give you a massive thank you for coming to join us today, Rocco. Not only sharing your story, of course, but actually opening up a bit and letting us know behind the curtain of your career, your highs and lows. It's, I'm sure, a real inspiration to anyone wanting to think about hospitality and particularly working in luxury. So thanks so much for sharing with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. James, I wish you all the best. And to all the Otolo followers, find your mentor, and listen to him or to her.
Perfect. And I literally could not have said it better. So if you do want mentoring from leaders like Rocco, or to find where your passion might lie, or to tap into mentors of any function, head to myotolo.com and start your journey. It's completely free to join and to check us out. We're still evolving Lobby Talks. If you've got any thoughts on what you like, what you didn't like, please drop me a note, or we've got a feedback form in the chat now. Please do fill it in. Come and join me next Tuesday. I'm really excited about next Tuesday. We're going to be talking with a charity focused on mental health, Kelly's Call. And it's going to be a lot of fun, really trying to unpick why is mental health such a big challenge and what can we all do about it. So Toby, Anna and I have been chatting about this for a while and how Otolo really needs to help support mental health and really everyone's mental and financial health in hospitality to really build a sustainable industry. So excited about chatting with her. For now, no, that is it. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks once again, Rocco, for joining us from sunny Mexico. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks so much for your time and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.